could date back probably like 7, 8 years ago. I had a pretty decent squat.
Yeah.
Why are you laughing? Oh, we're supposed to be serious here. Mind the camera.
So how much do you weigh right now? You weigh like 206.
6.
Wow, that's pretty good. Yeah, and you're
And
freaking
leanest.
what? You're
I feel
freaking
dry.
you're freaking 260.
Yeah, so started off, I was 260.
Oh, what? Oh, were you actually 260? I was just kidding.
Yeah, 260. So pre-COVID, I was 190.
Okay.
And then got to the point through COVID, just eating a bunch of junks and then drinking like a lot of alcohol. Got up to 260. I think higher than 260, probably 265.
Okay.
Around January, I went on keto. I was on keto for a little while, maybe for 3 months. Keto kind of kick-started it, get back to slowly get back to where or in the right direction more like
Right.
I was if I date back like how I was saying, if I date back 6 or 7 to 8 years ago, my squat was probably its peak, probably 315. Its peak.
And you
So it
were
wasn't like
you weighed what? You were like one something.
I was probably like 180, 190.
Yeah.
So I was pretty light,
Uh-huh.
but in numbers it wasn't as high as it could be. And so I was didn't really have a full technique of how to squat and whatnot. That was what, years ago,
Mm-hmm.
15 years old,
This was
trying
when
to
you were
squat,
back
yeah,
in school?
high school.
Yeah.
And so fast forward 7, 8 years later to earlier this year, I would say before COVID, if I tried to squat, I'd probably get maybe 315 to 335, maybe up to 350, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
It's like pushing it.
But
So I gained a bunch of weight
yeah, that's before you had a bar, and that's before.
before I had all the routine.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I was Then um post COVID, I was 260 pounds, and but I was unhealthy,
Mm-hmm.
fat, for lack of better words.
Yeah.
And I was doing keto. I was kind of cutting down, but with the weight, I definitely felt a lot stronger.
Yeah.
Short period of time,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was able to squat 405,
Mm-hmm.
first time ever. And so I was able to squat 405. I didn't have a belt. I didn't have squat shoes or ollie shoes.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of at a place where it was kind of just winging it.
Yeah.
And then right around March, that's where I bought a bar, or not a bar. I bought a squat rack. Got a Rogue squat rack. This random guy off Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the start.
Yeah.
So March, I was 250. I remember 250. So I lost like 15 pounds or so, and lost 15 pounds. But then I started to realize that trying to squat and trying to do like heavy lifting, like kind of powerlifting stuff, like bench, deadlift, squat, it was hard for me with keto because I felt kind of out of energy.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't necessarily in like a calorie deficit. It was just different form of energy rather than burning ketones rather than just straight
Carbs.
glucose or
Yeah. Yeah.
insulin.
Bread.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yep.
I started to just taper off of keto, stop eating so much fat, got a right decent amount of carbs, but was working out at the same time, and led to later down the line of starting to I got a bar from a friend, got some weights from a friend, bought some weights of myself, and then I was just doing more volume than anything else because I didn't have the weights to push it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was say 240, 35, 240, and I'm squatting 225 reps. I'm just going at it for reps because that's all I have, or less than 225, more like 195.
Yeah, yeah,
And just trying to go for reps, go for reps. Um, like we had that challenge. I think I got like for like one plate, it was like 75 reps
oh
or something
yeah,
like
yeah,
that,
yeah, yeah.
76 reps.
Mm-hmm.
So a decent amount of reps. That's one plate. So
Mm-hmm.
I was just kind of building up my tolerance for squatting, trying to relearn the curve. I got a squat belt or just a regular Walmart belt that I could kind of cinch down and practice with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Down the line, I got more weights, so I started to up it up a little bit more. Got to be able to have total of 395, I think it was, of plates. I was able to go and peak out at 395.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing more like 315 and just trying to rep out. And I remember I tried to go for as many reps as possible for 315, and my prior 315 when I was around 255, 260 was when I was first starting to work out again. It was couldn't even get like 3 to 4 reps.
Yeah.
So I remember I got 6 reps and I was stoked. The video, I was like, "Oh, I got 6 reps, my PR now." And then that's kind of the start. And then I was trying to aim later down the line, maybe like a month later. I was trying to aim for a PR. I was trying to hit 20 reps, and I got 18, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Later down that line, I started to get more plates, got more weight, and was trying to up my squat in a way that I can get a bigger 1 rep max rather than just have a big 20 rep max.
Mm-hmm.
So I started to make programs. I started to look at programs online. Started to look at people that did a lot of powerlifting, a lot of squatting, and one of the guys that kind of helped me was this guy on YouTube. I think he's on social media. Is Damien Pizzuti,
Okay. I don't think
and
I know who that is.
he's a pretty big power lifter. He lifted with Bart Kwan. I think he was helping training him.
Mm-hmm.
I think he had like the at that time he had the world record total for a 180 class.
Got it. Got it.
So he had some pretty massive numbers, and he had a program that was kind of free, and I can kind of put my percentages in
Mm-hmm.
to practice that and learn that.
Yeah.
At the time, um, right before I started that program that I made up with the percentages by his program, sorry, I peaked out. I found my 1 rep max, and that was I hit 495.
Mm-hmm.
95.
Mm-hmm.
So 5 plates on each side, which is a big PR for me.
Yeah.
Which was prior when I was 260. I hit what 405
Mm-hmm.
1 rep, barely 1 rep. I don't even know if I hit depth.
Was that the one that
So
was recorded at Island?
Island gym,
Yeah.
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 The Island gym, it didn't hit the squat all the way that I wanted to. It was kind of like I could barely even see if I hit it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So most likely I didn't even hit the depth, but I counted it as a 405 PR, a Smith machine.
I mean, 4 or 5 in. I mean, 4 or 5 in general. That's pretty big PR. Whether or not you did hit depth, you know, and
Yeah,
it's
and
it.
that was before getting a bunch of equipment. So I didn't have a belt. I didn't have
Mm-hmm.
shoes to squat in. I remember I'm pretty sure I was using either regular like generic Walmart flat shoes,
Mm-hmm.
or I was using running shoes,
Right.
just like Nikes or whatever. So I started to train a lot more. I started to squat a bunch, and then I started to get more equipment, like a belt, an actual belt. Now I have an actual belt, like a lever belt from PR, I think
Mm-hmm.
the Larry Rules company, and
Yep.
then I
Yep. Yep.
have Ollie shoes, Reebok Ollie shoes, and knee sleeves. I've always had knee sleeves though.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a long time. So I just pulled it out for that. But now my numbers, my total numbers for a squat is 515 for 1 rep.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably at 225.
Got it.
Um, this month was a big cut for weight, and now I'm at 206.
How heavy were you when I was at home, when I was back on Kauai?
You're back on
Maybe
Kauai.
like
That wasn't that long
215,
ago. Wait, 220,
220.
225. So when I was up in Vancouver with you
Mm-hmm.
guys, I was
Mm-hmm.
probably 225,
Yeah. Yeah.
around 225. I was stuck at that weight. I wasn't getting any bigger. I wasn't getting any smaller.
Got it.
So I was kind of plateauing out.
Mm-hmm.
And it was good because when we were up there, I was repping 475 5 reps, and I felt pretty comfortable under it.
Right. Right. Right.
Um, I had a program this month while I was cutting to try to PR get 540, but
Got
I
it.
ended up hurting my back on a deload
Yeah.
and took off the belt and just
Yeah. You
went
said
for
you.
the IG post. Just hurt my back in the third rep. I was doing
Yeah.
405 for 3 reps. My last rep was like, yeah, it wasn't good.
So you took off the belt. You racked it, and
I
then
was
you.
I was wearing the so I wasn't wearing the belt until my heavier lifts.
Mm-hmm.
So once I got to 415 ish, a little bit higher than that, for like 25, took off my belt.
Yeah.
All right, I put on my belt. I put on
Right.
my belt.
Right. Right. Right.
Then when I got to 475, so that day, I think it's still on the board. I don't know if you can see that on the board.
Yes.
Right
Top
there.
set. Yeah.
It's top
Mm-hmm.
set, yeah. So it was gonna be 5 sets of 1 rep. And I
Mm-hmm.
was already, prior to this, the day before, I was looking at my program, at my actual program, and I have the book right here. My actual program, I'm pretty sure it's 2 reps, 3. So the actual program, it was 2 reps. So 2 reps for 475 for 5 sets.
Yeah.
And I would say if I was right around the same weight, if I
Mm-hmm.
didn't cut as fast as I did,
Mm-hmm.
when I tried it, I was probably 211, 212. If I was around like 225 and I wasn't really like dropping my calories so much,
Yeah.
would feel a lot better. So right now, if I tried to squat, if I had no pain and I tried to squat, I could probably peak out. If I tried, I could most likely get 475 for 1 rep. That'd be like 1 set, 1 rep.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Not like 5 sets or anything.
That's like
After that, I would start to drop down.
yeah. That's like max effort.
Yeah, but I'm super depleted right now.
Right.
So,
Right. 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 I mean,
so
yeah.
I'm
You
doing
lost a lot
intermittent
of
fasting and
you
everything like
lost a
that.
lot of weight. You probably feel super. What I don't know. What's the word? Dry, flat.
Yeah, yeah. Prior to this whole cut, was losing weight and gaining strength.
Mm-hmm.
So my previous program, it was a 4-week program. I changed, or my 1 rep of 495 went up to 515. So that was a 20-pound PR.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So pretty good PR. And I think if I didn't tape, or if I didn't deplete myself so much with calories, I don't think that I would be bottoming out right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean that. Yeah.
I expected that. I expected myself to be weak.
Right. Well, yeah. It's because once you had the weight cut, I mean, that's pretty. That's almost like a given. You kind of, it's when you lose weight in general, you lose strength in general. Like,
Yeah,
unless you can, do really
but
well
that
to
speed.
maintain that.
Right. That was my whole plan in the beginning, was to maintain strength while lose weight. So
Right.
that's why it was like 1 to 2 pounds every week that I
Yeah.
was losing.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a big jump.
Yeah.
I remember when I first started this at the beginning of this month, because it is the 25th
Mm-hmm.
July. Or when I first started, my first 7 to 10 days, I think I lost like 15 pounds. It was dropping fast.
Yeah.
The weight was
Yeah.
dropping
Yeah.
fast, and I was
Yeah.
still putting up decent numbers, like
Right.
over 405 squats and
Yeah.
5 sets of 3.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I didn't hit a plateau, or I didn't bottom out on my program until my third week, which is a 4 week program. Third week, closer to the end of the week.
Mm-hmm. Got it. So what? So if you could give any sort of advice to somebody who wanted to improve their squat, some like obviously something that you feel like
Beginner
you
stuff
yeah I mean
or
just like something that you feel like yeah I mean it could be
instrumental to
both
me.
yeah like it's like oh shoot maybe if I would have done this longer my squat would still be going up or I would still be gaining strength there. I mean obviously it doesn't only pertain to squatting but that's obviously the topic today. But like, what's something that you feel like, oh shoot, this is something necessary? Whether it's like, oh, I would say go volume or maybe go, try and go up very slowly, or you like take your time, or I don't know, whatever, however you see fit, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that you can learn as a beginner, start off, or as an intermediate lifter to start off if you're getting back into it or whatnot. And the biggest things for me was volume had to be a key. So upping
Mm-hmm.
my volume. So if I had a 405 squat, and that was my absolute highest, biggest squat, maximum RPE 910
Yeah.
squat, right? You're grinding it up and you barely can make it.
Mm-hmm.
That's my squat. Then I would taper it. I would do a program, and I wanted to build higher than that. Build a program where I can up it slowly but surely. Let's say instead of, or if 405 is 100%, my program would aim for 102% or 105% if
Mm-hmm.
you feel like you can push it more. But if this is an RPE 10, it's going to be like 102%. So you're only going to be upping it by maybe 10 pounds, if even
Like max.
max.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the biggest tips for me, or the biggest things that I've learned, was volume was definitely a key. So getting training at a something bigger than just doing one rep and shooting for your max. I think that was a mistake that I did before. Now knowing that I want to do like at least 5 sets of two two reps,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's 2 reps and you're at pretty big load. So 405. If let's say you're doing 335 for 2 reps for 5 sets, you know that last set is gonna be brutal,
Mm-hmm.
but you're gonna be getting more time under the bar, which is the biggest part. Um, if you're starting to go for higher reps, let's say like 3 reps, I would say stick in between 2 to 3 reps. I don't see going like to 5 reps would be much beneficial if you're slowly trying to build up
Right.
without like gassing yourself out.
Right.
Obviously, there's lot more things with your equipment. If you can figure out, if you're a beginner lifter, I would say figure out um, like what your foot stance, so that you can kind of do a repeatable um, lift.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like a ritual. You get to the lift, and a lot of people do this. You get to the lift, and you do the exact same thing. Exact same thing. You breathe in the exact same way. You breathe out the exact same way, and you just repeat it. Just like time under the bar, your time prepping for that lift. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that was the biggest thing for me. Like the exact same, on the exact same pattern that I did for a regular lift, I would repeat it for bigger lifts. And when you get to your max, it's going to be the same thing. It just might feel a little bit heavier, but most likely the outcome is going to be right around the same.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
So doing that, and then for your equipment, I would say for squatting, possibly getting Olympic lifting shoes because it's a higher heel, so you don't need as much mobility,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you're gonna go high bar and like TG squat or Astagrass squat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and then the biggest one for me that I think is very beneficial for almost everybody would be have a belt. Doesn't need to be a lever belt. Doesn't need to be like a thick um, 11-inch or 13-inch millimeter belt, but get a belt that you can practice bracing, so the core bracing, keeping everything tight.
Mm-hmm.
And that was very instrumental with me to keep me trying to keep my back tight and attempting to keep my back tight through my core tight bracing against the belt allowed me to keep my whole body tight in a
Yeah.
way that
Right.
I couldn't really move, and it was just up, down, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, in squatting, going to keep your upper back tight as well to keep everything kind of combined and rigid.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say positioning, figure out your positioning, what works for you, what feels best, and what is the right thing to do if you're going to high bar squat, whether you're going to do a wider stance or narrower stance. Most of the time, if you're high bar, you're probably going to be more narrow than anything. And then for like if you do a low bar squat, if you're powerlifting, you like the low bar, or you just like the low bar anyway, and figuring out the placement of the bar on your back that feels best for you, and the placement of your feet, and just something that you can repeat and you can keep going and keep doing the same thing, and that's the biggest thing. Like just time under the bar, figuring out your positioning in a way that you can repeat it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, probably the biggest things that I've taken away. And if I look back to when I was squatting 315 7 to 8 years ago, one rep, barely. I don't think I even hit depth back then. Maybe parallel, but if I was one thing that I was looking at is I had a belt on, I had decent shoes, but I didn't know how to use my belt in a way that it was actually bracing. It was just more cinched down
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
just felt tight,
Right.
like more of a nuisance than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And now I could say with the belt, I know how to use it in a way that it's actually improving and optimizing the lift outside of being negative to it.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So having a process that you can repeat, right? Having something that you can repeat that's repeatable. That's obviously obviously correct form. Getting comfortable being under the bar, having time under the bar, whether it's you do volume, occasionally, bringing up intensity, load, all that stuff, and then possibly even if you can afford it. I mean, it's not expensive. Possibly get you some things. It's not the end of the world, but eventually get you a belt to squat with, so you can practice bracing and possibly shoes that may help with mobility issues because a lot of people, I mean, do have like
Right, right,
ankle
right.
ankle mobility issues.
But I would say, it's not an end all be all if you don't have that equipment. If you
Right, right,
just
right.
bare bones and don't have Olympic lifting shoes, you just have Chuck Taylors,
Mm-hmm.
or you squat barefoot,
Yep.
and or if you don't have a belt, you can still practice the way that you would for like a regular heavy squat. Just you're going to be more at a disadvantage. I think it's a it's a big assistance, right? It's not everything, but it's an assistance that could help you in the lift, because anybody can get to a point where they're doing max effort, efficient lifts without a belt or a squat or knee sleeves or wrist sleeves.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, it makes sense because there's a lot of lifters that lift differently, and I think it's either what they've been taught or it's what feels comfortable to them. Like I know I don't when I lift I don't use a belt very often, or I haven't used a belt in a while. Even the one that you gave me, I tried it one time and I was like, I wasn't super like, I'm okay. Like, I felt like I didn't really want to use it, but I mean, especially if I were to go really heavy for, if I was gonna go past 405, like I should probably use a belt just because it's safe. It's safer. Even though I don't want to, you know what I mean? because it does help you brace for sure. The belt
Right.
is all about bracing. And
If you have cracked form anyway, you don't necessarily need the belt. I just think it's going to be a big assistance, and for me personally, it's much of an assistance to help me significantly because I'm used to it. I'm used to wearing a belt for heavy lifts.
yeah,
So feeling like if I'd squat without a belt, heavy 1 rep max effort lift, and it would just feel shaky.
yeah. I mean that makes sense, and that's probably why you hurt your back because you freaking took the belt
Yeah,
off of
yeah.
the, and your body wasn't used to it, especially when you did the 2 sets before it with it on, or whatever, however many sets you did before. But that makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think also to mitigate the risk of hurting yourself, figuring out. I think just time under the bar, you're gonna know about it, or maybe you don't. But I think the biggest part was me currently learning how to correctly deload,
Yeah.
whether to like how I didn't use a belt. It was a lot lower of a lift from 475 to 405, 1 rep to 3 reps. It was a lot lower of a lift. Should be less effort. Should be a lot easier. But me taking off my belt, it's like you're doing a whole new lift.
Right. No. Yeah.
Like a whole different
yeah.
lift.
Yeah. Yeah. Completely. Right. Okay.
So I think injury wise, it could have been mitigated if I wasn't lazy, and also if took the precautions into place.
That makes sense. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So if people want to find you and want to see, or keep up with you with your lifting, where's a good place that they can find you? Or what is your
Um,
most popular thing that you post on or whatever?
on my OnlyFans, quad pics for days.
Just teardrop pics. But yeah,
Instagram,
Instagram. What's your handle?
Kana Chalk, ANACHOCK.
Got it. And then what are your maxes right now? If you had to get on the bar right now, what's your maxes?
Right now,
Yeah, right now.
like without injury or
Yeah.
with injury?
Without.
Without injury, like I'll be pushing it 475 squat.
Mm-hmm.
Deadlift probably level 5. Then bench. I felt pretty good because it was a squat and bench program, but I would say 250, maybe 260,
That's pretty good. And you're 206 right now?
206. And
206.
my aim is 180, the being a 500-pound squat.
That's a big goal. I mean, you're making it, so you have the strength. So the good thing is that you've already passed it. You've already passed the 500 pound. So now you just need to do that with the current weight that you have, or at 180,
Yeah.
which is obviously a different story.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I've spent so much time under the bar. Like I squat so much. It's
Mm-hmm.
like everything is it's to a science. Like everything is do the exact same thing the exact same way,
Yeah.
and doing the lift or doing the sequences of the lift and bracing and everything like that. It's, um, it's easily repeatable.
Right.
Just like obviously it's just gonna be the strength if the strength's gonna be there or if it's not there.
Right. Absolutely. That makes sense. Cool. Sweet. Awesome. That's all I wanted to talk about. We'll probably talk about other stuff later. But yeah, if you guys like the video, make sure you guys like the video and comment and subscribe, and then we'll catch you on the next one. Peace. Eater.